This is EE554 project, codenamed Jabez. We are the off-campus group from JPL and from Beckman Coulter. This is our project. Over here you'll see we have a stepper motor, and it drives a rail and it moves this object forward and backward, and we have a distance sensor on top that's going to monitor for obstructions and move backward to try to avoid them. Over here we have our motor controller board. It's what's going to receive all the motor commands and send them to the stepper controller. And underneath it we have our switch, our Ethernet switch, and Ethernet bus is what we're using as our communication protocol between all these boards. Over here we have our bench test equipment board. It monitors all the alive signals coming from the various boards, and it also allows us to do air injection into the system and see how it responds. These two boards are our main controllers. At any time only one will be a master and the other will be a slave, and we tend to call it either prime or not prime. Prime corresponds to master. These guys have this sensor hooked up into both of them, and they both are reacting at the same time to sensor input, but only one can actually talk on the bus. And from them they are connected to the fault detection unit. This unit is looking at watchdog signals coming from each of these boards to determine if they're alive and healthy. And lastly, this is our monitor board. It monitors all of the Ethernet traffic going back and forth and sends it over to the BTE. And with this data, along with other data that it's monitoring, it sends it out the UART into a computer that is able to log all the data coming out. So we get, and everything is on order of milliseconds, so we can get very precise measurements of how things react in the system. So now we're going to turn it on.
Hit the reset.
Okay, so as the system comes up, as soon as this guy gets an IP address, he's going to move to 0, our calibration point. And once he's there, he's going to start moving forward, assuming there are no obstructions. And I put my hand in front of it, and he backs up. Move forward, put my hand in front of it, and he backs up. Now I'm going to show how making one of these boards lose its aliveness, lose its primeness, will force the other board to become the prime board and take over without skipping a beat. So I'm going to make this guy lose his primeness, and you'll see this guy's light came on. Alright, and he's still able to avoid objects. Now I'm going to make this guy lose his primeness again by forcing him to an air, and you'll see that this guy will take over. And it does it with very little delay. Now for dramatic effect, I'm going to pull power from this board just to prove that it's really being disabled. And you'll see that this board's light, oh by the way, this light indicates which board is prime. When I pull power, you'll see the light will go here, and you'll probably hear that the motor keeps going. I'm going to plug this guy back in and wait a few seconds for him to get his IP address and get set up. And lastly, I'm going to pull the power from this board, and you'll see that this guy will take over. And that's our project.